Hello, everyone. Mike again here from the On the Sack podcast at iceworm.org/magic, back with another deck video. Today I'm going to be showing you my mono green Landfall deck that is legal and standard at the moment. Let's take a look at the deck. Okay, starting off with our lands, we have 18 forests. We have 4 evolving wilds. This will help Landfall trigger multiple times, so just cast this, tap it, sacrifice it, search your library for a basic land, and put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. And finally, in our lands, we have 2 Windswept Heaths. Play it, trigger Landfall, pay 1 life, sacrifice it to bring a forest or plains into play, and then shuffle your library, triggering Landfall again. Into our artifacts, I have 1 Slab Hammer, cost 2 colorless, 2 to equip. Whenever equipped creature attacks, you may return a land you control to its owner's hand. If you do, the creature gets +2/+2 until the end of turn. This will pretty much guarantee that Landfall will always trigger. The downside is if you keep playing or keep using that ability over and over, you will cap out your mana. So you might just want to use it once or twice, get a nice mana base built up, and then use this to just return 1 land to your hand so you can play your higher cost spells. Into our creatures, I have 2 Blister Pods, just cost 1 green for a 1/1 with the Void, so it's technically colorless. When it dies, put a 1/1 colorless Eldrazi Scion token onto the battlefield, and it has the ability to sacrifice it to add 1 to your mana pool. Just a quick way to get a creature out, and it also generates a token, which is nice. We have 3 Jotty Offshoots, 1 green for a 0/3 Defender, has Landfall, so whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain a life. We have 1 Nissa Vastwood Seer, 2 colorless, 1 green for a 2/2. When she enters the battlefield, search your library for a basic forest card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. And whenever a land enters a battlefield under your control, if you have 7 or more lands out, exile Nissa and return her to the battlefield transformed under her owner's control. And when you do that, she transforms into Nissa Sage Animist, Planeswalker with 3 starting loyalty, has a +1 ability to reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land, put it onto the battlefield, otherwise, put it into your hand. So if it's a land, it'll trigger Landfall, and if it's not a land, you'll get it in your hand anyway, so it's essentially draw a card. She has a -2 to put a legendary 4/4 green elemental creature named Ashea, the Awoken World, onto the battlefield. And finally, at -7, untap up to 6 target lands. They become 6/6 elemental creatures that are still lands. After that, back to our creatures, we have 2 Oran Reef Hydra, 4 colorless, 2 green for a 5/5 with Trample. It also has Landfall, so whenever a land enters a battlefield under your control, it gets a 1/1 counter. And if that land is a forest, it gets 2 1/1 counters. We have 4 Scythe Leopards, 1 green for a 1/1 with Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, it gets +1/+1 until the end of turn. We have 4 Snapping Gnarlids, 1 colorless, 1 green for a 2/2 with Landfall. It gets +1/+1 until the end of turn whenever you play a land. And we have 3 Territorial Ballasts, 4 colorless and a green for a 4/4 with Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, it gets 2/2 until the end of turn. Into our enchantments, we have 2 Retreat to Kazandu, 2 colorless, 1 green, Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you can choose one of these options. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature, or gain 2 life. And we have 2 Zendikar's Royal, 3 colorless, 2 green. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a 2/2 green elemental token creature onto the battlefield. So if you're playing with your Evolving Wilds, your Windswept Heaths, you're going to get 2 elementals instead of just 1. Into our, or even more if you have the other Zendikar's Royal out at the same time. Into the instance, we have 2 Natural Connection, 2 colorless and a green. Search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. A way to trigger Landfall on your opponent's turn. So if they're getting ready to attack, drop this, drop a land, buff up your creatures for the turn, and they might be able to, block and kill some creatures or survive damage. We also have 2 Plummet, 1 colorless, 1 green, destroy target creature with flying. And finally, 2 Swell of Growth, 1 colorless, 1 green, target creature you control gets 2/2 until the end of turn. You may also put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. So give a creature 2/2, drop a land, triggering Landfall, and whatever landfall you have out on your creatures. Into our sorceries, we have 2 Call the Scions, 2 colorless and a green. It's devoid. Put 2 1/1 colorless Eldrazi Scion tokens onto the battlefield. You can also sacrifice them to add colorless to your mana pool. We have 1 Nissa's Renewal, 5 colorless and a green. Search your library for up to 3 basic lands. Put them onto the battlefield tapped. Shuffle your library and gain 7 life. So you're going to be triggering Landfall at least 3 times. Maybe more if you played a land before this, so you can trigger Landfall up to 4 times. And finally, we have 2 Reclaiming Vines, 2 colorless, 2 green, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or land. So if your opponents have a pesky artifact or enchantment you want to get rid of, or even a really powerful land, just drop this and get rid of it. It's a pretty fun deck. I've gotten the Oran Reef Hydra in this deck up to like a 13/13, I think it was. Let me see what he was again. Yep, 5/5. He was a 5/5, and then I played This is Renewal, dropping in 3 forests, or I played a land before that, dropped in This is Renewal, so we have 4 lands, and he got how many lands is that? 4 lands, 8. Yep, he became a 13/13 with Trample. It's a pretty fun deck. Let me know what you think of this deck in the comment section below. As always, like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.